Hello again, back in our Sakila Films demo application. What if I want to show now the details of a film? Most common thing will be to, when I double click, dialog details should appear. Let's see how can we achieve that. First thing I have to do to build is a new film details form, like a basic one. For my film model I have 4 fields: ID, title, description, length. I could have more, but I have this 4, so I have created just some text boxes that, by the way, I haven't named. Let's give them some much better now. What do you think? As you see, the code is just the constructor in this form, and where can I show from my application? Where could I show it? So in the double click film list view, event handler. So in the film list view, on double click, film list handler. As we have seen in the previous video, it will be like form details form equals new. I have my object now created, and to call it I should dot show dialog. Yep, nothing new. Okay, gonna try, gonna test. Okay, double click a film and I got a film details form, but I haven't got any data still. This is only a form, but I haven't got the data of this film. Good, but we should know how to get this data from this film. Let's do it. These films here, these lines here, they are strings. So the list view has got a property which is items, and these items are made of strings. So when I double click here, what I get is a string. Let's go to the place where we add the items to the list view, which is under update films list view, and I am adding a toString. Well, because I'm overriding the toString method of the film model of the object class, and I am including the ID. What could I do to get in here the film what has been selected? Well, as you see, I could have created a constructor with the film ID. And I should pass then here the constructor. It's yelling at me, it's complaining because I need a film ID. So where can we get the film ID from? If I say, let's get first the string has been double clicked. And we see one first difference, one first new thing, which is that it's talking me about selected items in plural. So this is a list of items. Why is this for? This is because our list view has got a property that, in fact, I'm going to show you, that allows us to select several lines, several elements from the list view. This property is this one, multi-select, and by default this is true, it's enabled. If I say multi-select is false, that won't allow me to select different lines. Let's try. let's fix these errors. Now we'll pass a 0 here, and let's check. I'm gonna select different lines. Yeah, you see, I can select different lines, and if I press the upper case key, I can select, or the control key, I can select several. So when this event triggers, I am getting selected items, all the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 items, a list of items. But here, in my case, I just want one of them. I don't want this functionality in this list. So I wanna change this property to false. Now that I can't select several, you see, I'm holding the control key pressed, but just select the last one. And if I double click, I just double click the last one. Good. In any case, now I know that this is a list, this is an array, and it's going to have always one element. It's going to be the 0 element. So now I am accessing the only element which is selected. When I double click, 2 actions happen. I select the line and I perform a double click event on that line. So now I'm sure this line or this element here is the one I've double clicked. And from here, the selected item, you can get the text that was the whole line, which included the ID, the title, the description, and the length. So what could I do now? Well, I could already pass in the constructor a string, modify the constructor, the film details to get this string, or I could also build a new film object, a film model object from the string and pass the whole film object, or I could pass just the ID, like an int, and then from here query the database and get the film with that ID. What should I do here? I have to split my screen or substring, like int film ID equals, where am I? Like film selected. Yeah, this is a whole line which has the first position before the first comma. Remember, it's a CSV, comma separated values. Yeah, before the first comma I have the ID, which is an integer. I want to extract from this string this integer here. How can I do it? Well, film selected, for instance, substring, or make a split. I could split and get the first element, or I could substring and use the int start index and int length, start index 0, and the length film selected dot index of comma, my first comma, index of the first comma. And then, so I'll have to parse. I could also use the, as we said, split film selected dot split by commas and get the 0, the first one. With split I get an array of the 4 values in here, and this one I int parse and here I will just both are valid. Here I will say like film ID Good, so an integer. And in my field returns form, I will have my film ID, where I could, in my constructor, I could query the database and initialize these fields with the ID and find the film which ID is the one I have been passed from our main form. I'm not going to do it in the constructor. Let's do it in the form load. For that, I will have to use a global variable for in the constructor initialize and in the form load, faces styles, form load, here I am going to query my database. I use a first of default because film ID with this ID, films with this ID, there's only going to be one. So I don't have to get a list. I have to get one result, one film. So we try. Go for it. So I'm going to select film, the one with ID 116, and here I got, whoops, there's an error in the ID, candidate partition, but everything else is correct. Let's check why is it showing a 0. This film ID is correct because otherwise this would be incorrect. Let's add a breakpoint and debug. Good. So I have my film ID is 166 this time. This is correct. Film ID 166. My SQL query, I'll select all from film where film ID equals 166. So this should be correct. And the film, it's got the ID is 0. This is select film ID, title. Oh, I know what was the problem. We saw in another video, okay, that we have to map to the names, the same names. Doesn't mind if it is in uppercase and the database, but the name of the columns of the database must be the same name. And ID here is ID, and in our database is film ID. So what I have to do here is select film ID as ID. Yeah, and I'll have to title, description, and length. From now it's gonna work. Always debug, always use debugging and see what are you getting. Okay, well, follow the 5 rules. Tinkery, don't panic, see the errors, think about, and try a solution. Good, I think my SQL now is correct, and well, before it was also, now film, yes, now it's got the ID here. Good, perfect. Let's remove this, the ID 83. So we have a application with we are passing the film we select, or with the film we double clicking here is being shown in our film details form. There's one problem too, and it is that I am showing in this main form, I am showing the ID, and this is not usual to show numbers like that without sense for the user. Internal codes, we don't show internal codes for the user. We could easily just like remove this from here. But what will happen? Then these two solutions we are using here won't work. If we remove the ID from the string we are showing in the list box for every film, we can't use this. Yeah, we have a problem now. How can we solve this problem? Well, let's see how can we add a value, a key, to every line of the list view. The add method for the items property of a list view has got several overloads. The default overload is to create a new item from a string. But there's an overload that allows me to create the same item but adding a key to identify this item here. So this is what is going to be shown in each of our lines of the list view, but this is going to be a key which is not going to be shown to identify our objects. For instance, we could set the ID of our films, this key. If I say just film dot ID dot string, now what I am creating is an object that will show this line of text that, remember, we have modified, and it's just now the title, description, and length, and that will have associated the ID of the film. So we are giving it a name. To this line of the film, we are giving it a name. Let's see how can you use now this key or this name to, when I double click a line of the list view, I can get directly the name, which I am creating from our ID. So I could get directly the ID of the film. So in our film selected, you see here, if I get the text, yeah, I am getting the text part of the overload, the text parameter. And we have said that this key is the name. So if I accessed the same item but instead of getting the text I get the name, yeah, name now is this one in here, so it's the ID, but it is a string because we have to convert it to a string. So if I parse this, I will have, and this I make an int, I will have my film ID directly without the need of accessing anything from here, of getting anything from the text. So I can create my new form, a new text form, with this parameter, okay, using this property, this trick, using this overload of the add method of the items. Okay, setting a name for the value. It's just a key value pair. I convert my film list view in a key value pair data structure. So the key is going to be the ID of every film, and the value is going to be what is shown in the rows of the list view, and it's going to be the text. Let's check if it's correct and if it works. I'm going to set a breakpoint in here, start, select. Okay, we are getting the IDs of the films only. This is because we are not using the correct overload. The overload I want is the one that has 3. You see, from the 6 overloads I have the list view item, the string text, the one I was using, and I want the one which is using the key text. Yeah. And it's got another parameter, which is the image index, if we are using images to show a line or an arrow. But we don't have any image to show, but we have to pass the parameter, otherwise it's getting other overload, different overload with 2. The one with 2, yeah, one of the ones with 2 parameters must be this one. So yeah, I'm sure it's this one. But if I just set this last parameter to 0, for instance, yeah, it will be getting the correct one. Let's try again. And now it works. Now it's working. The ID is not showing, and if I double click on a row, I must have here the film ID of that row. If I analyze my films list view, the items property, items, good, it's 20 of them, and let's see this one. I see that it's got name is the number 3 for this one, and the text is what is being shown, or this one here, maybe the name is the 199, which is the ID, and the text is the text which is being shown in the line. This, we have much better system than the one we had before, because I can now create my films day 4 with the ID of the film that I want to show. Yeah. Well, that's all for now. We have learned a little bit more. Hope you liked it. Please leave a comment in the video, and bye bye. Good night.